Well, hello, I'm David Freeman with Is That Really in the Bible? I'm going to do, at this point, creating a 5-minute video instructions on how to do this, or some details about how to do this. I mean, I think most of us would admit that we're living in a world that is dying daily, and that the churches of God need to get a message to the general public. So a 5-minute message, some of the things that are the high points about this is that it gives you an opportunity to express yourself. And 5 minutes, that's not a lot of work involved in doing a 5-minute video. I'm going to give you a sample of this here in just a few minutes. But the reason for a short message is because people have a short attention span today. If you look at some of the videos that are on YouTube, you realize a lot of people will watch a video, but one of the first things they do is they see how long is this video. And if the video is an hour and a half, chances are people are just not going to watch that. But if they see that, okay, this video is 2 or 3, 4 or 5 minutes long, there's a probability that they're going to take the time to watch it. So yeah, our society has created a short attention span, and I think we need to use that to our advantage. There's fast foods, there's instant information on the internet, and so we need to use this to our advantage, and that's why I'm calling this How to Create a 5-Minute Message or a 5-minute video. Also, this gives us the opportunity to express our passion. I'm convinced that God's people, you're probably passionate about a lot of things, but you don't have the opportunity to express your passions. I think of myself sometimes. I'm driving down the road and I'm beating on the steering wheel, and I'm listening to talk radio, or I'm listening to some preacher on the radio talking some kind of pablum that I disagree with. And I'm sort of preaching as I'm driving down the road, and I'm beating on the steering whel. I've even had people pull off the road. They look in their rearview mirror and they see me beating on the steering wheel, and they pull off and let me go around them. That's sort of embarrassing when you see that. But another thing about the 5-minute message is that it's easy to do. It's not difficult for you to do this. It gives the church a voice, and multimedia. It's really Facebook, GodTube, YouTube. It is really the trend of the future, and it's getting to the point with technology that it's not that difficult to do. Nearly anybody can do this. So creating a 5-minute message is what we're going to be talking about. Now, before I get into this, I want to share with something about, I think we need to have some common ground here about, okay, what are we doing here? What message are we sharing? Who do we evangelize? When you talk about evangelism, outreach, it's important that we understand what is the goal, what is the end results of what we're doing. Okay, now let me just give you an example here. I had a letter recently that was sent to me from a guy in the Church of God. He had posted a question. This was the question: what is the proper way to preach the gospel? All right, that was his question. And he posted that to a lot of, I'm not going to tell you the names, but some of your big not mega church, but big churches of God, well-organized churches of God. And the responses came back, okay, what is the proper way to preach the gospel? One person said, with love and concern for our fellow man, in all truth and honesty. Another person said, by your action. Another person said, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Not in telling, but in doing. Okay? Another person said, by your life, live it. And this guy says, he posted this to other big churches of God. And a person came back, in love is the proper way to preach the gospel. Another person quoted this poem that I've heard before. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. I'd rather one would walk with me than merely tell me the way. The eye's a better pupil and more willing than the ear. Fine counsel is confusing, but example is always clear. So anyway, I'm not going to read all of that, but I thought it was interesting. My friend said he made this comment about their responses. And I thought it was funny what he said. He said, okay, his question was, what is the proper way to preach the gospel? My friend comes back and says, well, that is what they thought I was talking about, but it was not, okay? I would have had better luck being understood if I'd asked them what's the proper way to change a flat tire. Because really, how do I change a flat tire? With love and concern for my fellow man? Or how do I get the tire changed and back on the road? By letting my light shine? Or by setting a great example of how I live my life? Does any of this make any sense to you? It seems that everyone who reads my questions totally misunderstands what I was talking about. And it happens more often than it should. I'm really sad and disappointed about it, and I really don't know what to do. I think about our Savior, Jesus, coming to Galilee preaching the gospel. How did he do that? Was it by living a good life, helping the poor and the needy, supporting the widows and letting his light shine? Or was it actually preaching and telling and sharing the good news? The answers I received from these churches of God made me wonder if they even know what the gospel is, let alone what the proper way to preach it might be. I really hate saying this or thinking this. I wonder and I worry about their understanding and also about me and my understanding. Am I seeing all this wrong? Am I busy hanging on to some old school ideas that no longer apply? Now, I thought his letter was fascinating, and I thought the responses that he got were indeed fascinating. Now, in order to understand, okay, what are we doing in the goal of creating a 5-minute message? What is evangelism? What is the work of outreach? What is the proper way to preach the gospel? Okay. To answer that question, we have to agree on what is the end results of preaching the gospel. Okay. Until we can agree on what is the end results of us preaching the gospel, we'll never be able to preach the gospel. All right, let's ask the question. What is the end results of preaching the gospel? Well, let's take a look at it in the Bible. Acts 2 and verse 37. Now, when they heard this, they were pricked in their hearts and said unto Peter and the rest of the apostles, Men and brethren, what shall we do? And Peter said, Repent and be baptized. Now, you know the story, in the name of Jesus Christ. But the end results of preaching the gospel is the expression, what shall I do? That's the results you want to get. That's the results you want to get in creating a 5-minute message. You want to bring people to a point where they say, well, what am I going to do? What shall I do? Okay? So, if you're feeding the poor, if you're letting your light shine, if you're living the example, but you're not getting the end results from people, what shall I do? Then is it really preaching the gospel? Now, I don't think it is. That's my opinion. Let me say this. If you're helping the poor and you help them get off their backside and get a job and get back on their feet, well then, yeah, in that singular element, you've helped them, what shall I do about my situation? What shall I do about my poverty? I know what I'm going to do. This guy has helped me get off my butt and get a job. Okay, yeah, that's preaching the gospel. Again, the key is, the end result is, what shall I do? That's the results that you want from preaching the gospel. That's the results that you want from creating a 5-minute message. You want to bring people to a point where they say, what can I do? What shall I do? Now, obviously, this takes some thinking. This takes some work. It's not the easiest thing to do. You have to engage people before they will ever ask themselves, what must I do? Okay. So I'm not going to give you all the answers. I can't tell you, personally how you're going to do this. I just think as God's people, we have eluded ourselves in thinking, well, I hope my neighbor sees that I'm leaving on Saturday morning to go to church, and maybe one day they'll figure out that I'm a Christian, and I'm letting my light shine, and I'm setting the example, and I'm not saying anything, but they're just looking at and I hope one day they'll figure out that I'm a Christian, and that's how I preach the gospel. No, no. We have deluded ourselves. We have kidded ourselves into thinking that by doing this we are preaching the gospel. No. In order to preach the gospel, in order to know, okay, what is evangelism? How do we preach the gospel? What's the proper way to preach the gospel? You've got to realize the end results. The end results of doing this is bringing people to a point where they say, what shall I do? Once you lock that in, boy, you can go to town and you can get results. Okay, let's talk about creating a 5-minute message. I'm going to give you an example here of probably a 1-minute or 2-minute message of some things that I've done.
Well, we were all born into a ready-made world of religion. I don't think any of us ever questioned it. We assume the traditions around us come straight from the Bible. Now, what we know is this. We didn't make this stuff up. We didn't say, I think Santa Claus and gift swapping is a good way to honor the Savior of the world. No, you and I didn't make that decision. We didn't say, I think 1 hour of worship on Sunday is what we should do. These decisions were all made for you before you ever came into the world. It's that ready-made world of religion that we were all born into. That dictates what we will believe.
Okay, so you see in this little example, this was not even me doing anything. It was just me putting a voiceover. It was me putting some video clips together and some pictures together and some words on a screen. But you know, you help people, well, wow, okay, I was born into a ready-made world. What am I going to do about this? What am I going to do about this ready-made world that I'm living in? That was all fabricated before I ever came into the world. I was born into this ready-made world. What am I going to do about it? Okay. Now, what's interesting is this. No longer do you need, at one of the cable channels where I run my program, I went there and the guy told me, he said, I want to show you the new technology that we're using now. Now, this is a cable station that goes out in the field and they're recording accidents and fires and community service, whatever. He said, the new technology that we're using, I was blown away by it. He said, we're taking an iPhone 8, mounting it on a tripod, and it records in 4K, which is excellent video quality. They hook in a little external microphone right here. And he said, here, you try it out. And I did a little voiceover and recorded it, and I thought, wow, the quality is excellent. This is what they're using out in the field, an iPhone 8, and they're recording and shooting video with an iPhone 8. This is the new technology. What am I saying? I'm saying no longer do you need a studio. No longer do you need $3,000 or $4,000 cameras. No longer do you need $2,000 or $3,000 lighting equipment. You don't need that anymore. I mean, you're able to record this, and if it needs editing, you can send it over to an editing program and do your editing. But in some cases, a lot of what people are doing, they're not even editing. They're just shooting that, a short message, sharing their convictions, sharing their ideas, sharing their concepts, sharing how to work this, how to build this, how to make this. So the technology that is out there today is incredible. You know, it takes $4 million a month to saturate the U.S. using television. That was a quote from Andrew Womack Ministry, $4 million a month. And you know, the churches don't have that kind of money. And the good news is that the technology is out there now where it doesn't take that. The internet is free. Facebook is free. GodTube, YouTube. A lot of these medias are absolutely free. Absolutely free. And I would like to see a lot more people involved in this, in creating a 5-minute message. Okay, let's talk about creating a 5-minute message. Here's something critical to realize. People don't notice announcements. They notice consistency. You know, it's about saturation. I upload something every single day to Facebook, GodTube, YouTube. Every day I'm uploading something. It's about, people don't notice announcements. They notice consistency. You have to be consistent again and again and again, and it's about saturation. If we could get enough people involved in doing this, we could saturate with a message. And again, the end results of that message is you want to bring people to a point, what must I do? That's the proper way to preach the gospel. It is a message. It's not just you're hoping someone figures out you're a Christian. It is about a message. Jesus was about to soon come in, the message of the gospel of the kingdom. It is a message. Words have to be spoken, okay? Let's get over this. Let's get over this. All right. Some examples here. In-screen annotations is critical on my videos. I always put, you'll see there, they can watch the complete program. They can click on the complete program. They can click on another icon. It takes them to the website. Or they can subscribe to my YouTube channel. So you don't want to leave people hanging in midair. I mean, if you're going to do this, upload or create a 5-minute message, you want to stay in touch, to send them somewhere. You want them to watch something more. You want them to visit your website. You want them to subscribe to your channel, obviously. Okay, so that's important. Another thing is, try to be professional, okay? And this is not rocket science, being professional. A guy that I think admired some of the stuff I was doing on YouTube tried to record a video. And he did. He recorded a video on YouTube, but I could tell the guy was sitting on his toilet. I could just tell. You know when someone's sitting in the bathroom, and you can sort of tell, oh, well, what's that? And then, is he sitting on his toilet? Yes, he was sitting on. So you want to be professional. You don't have to have a studio. I record behind a green screen because I see things in images, and it's just important to me to have my pictures in the background and all that stuff. But that's just a preference to me. You can record yourself outside. You can record yourself sitting behind a desk. You can record yourself standing up. You can record yourself anywhere you want to record. The point is, it's about a message, and it's about a message where a person comes to a point where they ask themselves, okay, now that I heard this, what must I do? Okay, methods of a 5-minute video, different methods you can use. Teaching is one. Education, educating people. Evangelists, how to is a great, when something is broke, I want to know how to fix it. And how many times have I used YouTube to fix something? And lo and behold, some wonderful person has taken the time to record themselves through each step, mechanical, taking off the starter of a car. This precious person has taken the time to show me exactly how to do this. Now here, we get into idea, okay, is this something that you could do in the area of your church, in the area of religion, in the area of your convictions? Okay, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Okay, how to. Let's talk about how-to videos. All right, let's just take some subjects here. Okay, how to be happy. Okay, could you do a 5-minute video on how to be happy? Tie in some scriptures to the Bible, personal experience, whatever. How to take a break. You could tie that into the Sabbath day. How to get through the holidays. Now listen, if you think people don't sometimes realize at the Christmas season something just ain't quite right, you could do a little video on how to get through the Christmas season, how to get through the holidays. You could tie in something there to God's holy days. Oh, yeah, 5 minutes. All I'm asking for is 5 minutes of your time. 5 minutes of your time. How to explain hell to your children, people, no telling where you could go with that. How to get through the loss of a loved one. How to be faithful to your wife. How to be faithful to your husband. How to enjoy your job. How to get healthy. It's limited. How-to videos. How-to videos. Is this something that you could do? Again, the technology, I'm telling you, probably a lot of you already have an iPhone. 8 or whatever. You don't have, I mean, I don't know. They'll all do the recording as far as video. And they do make a little microphone that plugs right into the power source. Works great. I mean, it works great. The sound, the quality, it's just perfect. And so you don't need all this expensive equipment, and this is something that you can do. 100 hours of video are being uploaded to YouTube every minute. Now, somebody's taking advantage of this. 100 hours every minute. We could talk about Facebook. A lot of it is being uploaded to Facebook every minute also. But again, you know, it's about a message. Okay, videos going viral. Let's touch on that. It's a rare thing for that to happen. You know, most videos that go viral are downright stupid. You know, it's something stupid somebody's doing, and that's the reason it goes viral. But you don't have to worry about that. Again, we're talking about saturation. We're talking about people don't notice, you know, announcements. They want to see this this persistence, this consistency, where you're always doing something. Okay, how to get views. You can promote your videos on Google. You can pay to promote them so that more people will see them. You know, nearly all organizations and people that are promoting anything will pay to get those numbers up. The reason behind it is very simple. If you come to a video and it's got 4 views, and you come to another video that has 1 million views, or 100,000 or 30,000, you know, you're going to be, if you look at the one that has 6 views, you're going to say, that's not worth watching. So it's just a psychological thing as to reason you want to promote your videos. You can have your YouTube channel connected to your website. That's something that I do, at least on my website. All of this is critical. You can have a community of websites that you're connected to, share with other people, partnership with others, you know, get that channel on different websites. Just all kind, you know, social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, you know, it's just all kinds of medias out there that we can use. I use SoundCloud, I use Vimeo, and I get a lot of hits just by posting sermons and my short little video clips that I do. And you know, here's what I want you to understand is that we have a window, you have a window to the world. You really do, all of us do. And we are told to go ye therefore into all the world. That's the Great Commission. Now I know not everybody is an evangelist. Not everybody's been called to be an evangelist, but the Great Commission goes to us all. That's for everybody in God's church. And you have a window to the world through all of the technology that is out there. It's not that complicated. It's not impossible to do. It's not something beyond your comprehension that you can learn to do. If you have a teenager, they can tell you how to do it real quick. And it's something that we need to share in to get a message to the world as God's people. And again, I just want you to focus on, if you keep that in mind, okay, what is the proper way to share the gospel? Again, you got to keep the end results of sharing the gospel. You want to bring people to a point where they at least think, okay, now that I've heard this, what shall we do? So, get busy with creating your 5-minute message. Let's work together. I think together we can accomplish it. Here's the thing. I think God is desiring to call a lot more people than we realize. And I know, you know, often we go to church and we think, well, I got a small group, small congregation. Where are these people? Well, they're out there. It's just that we're not making contact with them. We're not making contact. And this is a beautiful opportunity to make contact, you know, locally in your community. But again, we're talking about your window through all of these outlets that are free. Yeah, let me say that. They are free outlets. They're not costing you $4 million a month to get seen on TV. No, they're free. By using these outlets, we can make a difference. And maybe we can rock this nation and get a message to the world. You have a window to the world. And so let's get busy with creating our 5-minute message where we share our convictions with the world.
If you would like more information or if you have any questions, write to Is That Really in the Bible? 27 Brookledge Lane, Rocky Mount, Virginia 24151. Or visit us on the web at isthatreallyinthebible.net.